Well, it's officially day one, and if you didn't watch the previous episode, then what that means is we're going to count how many days it takes us to make this car whole again, to finish the project. And we're kind of at odds at who's going to be right on that one. I was thinking maybe 15 working days. Pete's thinking more like maybe 25 or 30. He's probably right, but I remain optimistic that we're going to get this done in a reasonable amount of time because it is a fairly simple car. But as you can see, it is completely stripped down. We did pull the motor out that we had in there just for mock-up purposes earlier. And we're going to start with just like dressing up the firewall with stuff that needs to go in there before we put the engine in. And before we put the engine in, we've got a bunch of work to do to bring that engine up to spec as far as like putting in the new oil pan, swapping a bunch of stuff over from the old engine. So there is plenty of work to do. So let's get to work on the firewall stuff first. There we go. Last of the brake lines, master, booster, clutch master, it's all bolted up. As you saw, we gave the lines all a quick cleanup with some Scotch-Brite or 3M pads, and that's actually a trick I learned from my buddy Ryan at Feel Good Auto. He does like restoration of Honda engine bays, and I saw him doing that. I thought that's really clever, and as you can see, it works remarkably well. I had to think about like replacing them with all new lines, but these work and they're bent in the correct shape and everything. It's just really hard to replicate that, I find. So we're just gonna stick with the old stuff.
We've got a timeline to work on, DP.
It's true, we do have the clock ticking, which explains why we didn't like take this off and paint it. And the other reason we decided not to is that you're not gonna see it once the engine's in the engine bay. So even though right now it's a bit of an eyesore, when the engine's in there, you'll never see it. So it's like, why make work for ourselves if we're trying to get this done in a timely fashion, which clearly we are trying to do. But we did put in brand new grommets here, which I found on eBay through a guy who supports the Celica community quite a lot. His name on eBay is Connie Glio 1970, I think it is. But if you search Connie Glio on eBay, you will find his stuff. And he makes all kinds of like OE replacement parts for old Toyotas, including Celicas or Celicas, depending on how you like to pronounce it. And as you saw, we did use all new hardware, like these zinc coated bolts, which came out of our pro cabinet over there from boltsandnuts.com. And we actually have a discount code of SPEED10 for a 10% discount on their website. And you don't have to buy like the giant pro setup like we got. You can buy it in smaller setups for your home garage. So really handy.
It it looks good, right?
It does, it looks amazing. I mean, all the old stuff just kind of looked old, and this is gonna be nice and golden here. And I think the gold looks pretty cool too. I'm stoked on that. And these P-clamps are from Vibrant Performance. So if you need any size P-clamp, they do have those in stock. So man, feels good to be making progress here, but I'm already a little bit out of breath from cleaning all those lines and everything, so why don't we take a quick hydration break here. That's right, everyone. Today's sponsor is AG1. This is a nutritional drink full of 75 whole food sourced vitamins, minerals, pre and probiotics. It's got all the good stuff in there to support immunity as well as meeting all of your daily nutritional micronutrient needs. For someone like me who suffers from an autoimmune condition, it's actually been especially helpful for my digestion and my gut health. Getting all those pre and postbiotics in there really does help with my digestive system and my overall feeling of well-being in my stomach. I find that I'm less bloated, less gassy, and these are all good things if you want to have a happy marriage both here at the shop and at home. I also really enjoy the taste. It actually has kind of a pineapple, maybe a bit of papaya splash in there flavor. So it has a really nice fruity flavor, and it's a very easy thing to work into your daily schedule. I take it every morning before I have breakfast, and I found it's a great way to hydrate myself first thing in the morning and make sure that I've topped up all of those, micronutrients and pre and postbiotics as well as adaptogens. There's a lot of really healthy stuff in here, and I just find it a much more convenient way to get those into my system than using, a jar of 10 vitamins that I have in my drawer and now I can get rid of, because I find this to be a much more convenient and streamlined way to do that. If you want to enjoy all the benefits of this daily habit like I have, then head on over to athleticgreens.com/speedacademy. And AG1 is going to give you a 1-year free supply of immune supporting D3 plus K2 vitamin plus 5 free travel packs. Thank you, AG1, for supporting this video.
So some of you have to be thinking, what on earth is going on right now? Why did PT just cut half of the back of the oil pan off? You can see this is a rather large chunk. And the reason for that is the steering rack does not clear this swap with this upper oil pan in place. So the natural thing to do here is to cut this piece off. You can see it's the clearance really is right around here is the huge issue. So you can see we've just like gone to town and sanded it or grinded it off as much as possible, and I think we're going to be good here. But from a structural integrity standpoint, I know some of you are going to think like, whoa, you've taken a lot out, but there's still a ton of integrity here. You can see there are large pieces of aluminum in place right around here that are still going to make sure that this is all be fine. And Dave already ran this, and him and Moose cut this back like way further before, almost too far than you really need to go. So we've left even more this time around, and I think we're gonna be just fine.
We're moving on to the next part of this job, and that is removing the stock oil pan, which as you can see is already a bit battered. And in this chassis, or say in an 886, this hangs very, very low. It's pretty much going to get hit if you're lowering your car by any amount, and I am lowering this reasonably aggressively. So There are solutions on the market for this, and we'll show you the one we've got in a minute, but let me just pull this off here first. Handy little tool that Pete picked up from Lyle, and it is designed to go along the edge here of the oil pan and the block and help you split the two of them out. So you kind of, yeah, there it goes. I'm just gonna work it all the way in there. Oh, you can hear the sealant releasing already actually just from hammering it all the way in like that, but I can probably do it on like the other corner and that would probably release it quite well. So let's go ahead and give that a try.
Well, thankfully we're not reusing this, so we can probably just, you know.
That's true, we could put a pry bar on it at this point.
Yeah. You don't have to be too
Fair
careful.
enough, fair enough.
So.
We don't want to show destroying things on the internet here, Peter, but yeah, let me get a pry bar.
Ooh, it's on there.
Yeah, it's on there, good.
There you go.
There it is. There she goes. That's the sound.
It's always like, you know, it feels like it's never going to come off, and
Yep.
then all of a sudden you just yank it.
Home free.
Ah, bam.
Home free. All right, let's pop this guy off here. And like that. And you can see that is actually baffled to some extent. It's not a terrible design by OE oil pan standards, but we've got a better solution that's going to give us ground clearance and much better baffling than that. Man, Lyle makes all the cool tools, and no, this is not a paid promotion. This is just a tool that Pete picked up for cleaning off these kinds of surfaces. And you can see it's got sort of like a, I don't know if you want to call that a scraper. It's actually just kind of a very blunt end with sharp corners, and you just run it along here, and you can hear it really makes good contact, and look at how well that works. And we're keeping all this debris out of the oil pan because it's magically somehow falling to the left because of my excellent technique.
I was going to say, you're like a snowplow.
Look at that. That's what it is. You're right. It's the Canadian me just knows to have the plow at an angle. We're in the dead of winter here with 8 feet of snow on the ground, so I've seen a lot of plow action lately. That works awesome though, wow. Well, PT, it's day one, and how are things going for you so far?
See, I think I've underestimated, what did I say, 29 days?
Something like that.
We were hoping, me and Dave talked when we started this episode, we're like, oh, we're gonna get this engine in by day one, and that is definitely not happening. It's 3 o'clock right now, and we have the oil pan off on a motor that still needs to be fully assembled, clutch, transmission, everything. It's not gonna happen. And here I am, heating up a stud. Yes, that's right. So the reason why I'm heating this up is this stud needs to be removed. You can see this one came out fairly easily, and it actually has this little head. So these are quite clever. Yeah, so you can take that, except I broke that one right off of here because it's so ingrained in there, like seized in there. And look, I even have what is a stud removal socket. So this grabs a hold. This is as good as you're gonna get. You drop it on here, you kind of like screw it on, and then it, see, grabs. And let's see, now I put a ton of heat into it. I can't tell whether it's going or
shear it off.
It's gonna break, DP.
Oh my God, we don't need that. That seems like a lot of force.
Oh.
That sounded like it either broke.
No, it went. Oh my goodness. Disaster averted. If this was anything but, by the way, I did try the double nut method. I did. Before I've realized that I had the tool, I tried to do this a couple times and it did not work on that. So, wow, we have all the special tools here. I've been on a 6-month tool buying spree. When I see something in a video or somewhere where someone's doing something correctly, I tell myself, you know what, we're gonna need that tool. And this time around, look, I'm not gonna touch this. This tool came in so handy because I'm pretty confident I would have stripped the threads off this thing. We would have been drilling this thing out. So DP, we've got less than 3 hours. Let's just put the hammer down here and at least get the transmission on here.
And here is the pan, all the way from New Zealand, from a company called Surfab. And Simon there, the owner of Surfab, is a Beam 3SG specialist. He builds motors and all kinds of parts for these engines. And I really like the design of this pan. He's added 500 mil of capacity while gaining 30 mil of ground clearance, which I think is pretty remarkable. And these wings out on the sides actually have trapdoor baffles to them. So that traps oil in the main pickup area. So you're never gonna have oil starvation with this pan. He's actually data logged oil pressure on a bunch of race cars in New Zealand and seen like 0 events of pressure drops with this pan installed, so we know it's a very safe setup. He also made the bottom of it from 3 mil thick steel, so it is very, very strong. It basically functions like a skid plate. So if this thing takes a hit, it's not going to deform so much that the pan gets pinned up against the pickup and starves the pickup. So I think this is a very rugged, very safe solution. And of course, I sourced this from Battle Garage Racing Service, who are Surfab's distributor in North America. So it's around $800. It's not inexpensive, but I think it is the way to go considering how poor the ground clearance is with the stock oil pan, and the safety factor too, that this car is going to see some racetrack action, so I know I'm not going to be starving the oil in precious Beamsy here. So let's, oh, we need sealant. I jumped the gun. I jumped the gun.
I don't think that's going to work.
Now it's not the time
here
for that. All right, using some gasket maker on here. The Toyota stuff is gray, but we like this black stuff because it's...
Yeah, this is the Permatex Max, I think, oil resistance and flex.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's why we like it. Is the flexibility of it is quite nice.
Yeah, and the resistance for the oil is kind of nice too. And well, look at that thing.
It's pretty
Look
good.
at the way you can apply this DP.
Yeah, it's pretty good. You want about a 3 mil thick bead when doing oil pans, so that's what I'm trying to do. And you know, we could come in with the verniers and measure my bead if you really want to, internet, but trust me, I know a 3 mil bead when I see one.
It is nice not having to like squeeze a tube though, DP.
It is. No, this trigger deal is really good, and there's a few spots where I put it along too heavy. I'll pick that off, and then
you will? Come on.
You know, we're going for perfection here. This is Connie. This is my forever girl. We want a little ooze squeezing out the sides as possible. Before I put this on, don't panic, everybody. We did torque the oil pickup to spec, so now the challenge is just to lay this on here.
Let's see.
Nice and...
It's gonna move around a bit.
It is.
There's no studs.
Yeah, well, there's a stud holding an oil pan, but other than that, that's pretty good. My whole alignment looks pretty good on the back.
Okay, now let's see how much, what do we call that oozing that you get out the side?
That's
that you
right.
said you had that perfect 3 mil going?
You want a little squish, but you don't want to just, you know, water falling out of there. Oh, there you go. Look at that. That is just a hint of squeeze right there, everybody. That's what a professional does when he lays down a bead, PT. He gets the perfect amount on there for just the right amount of squish.
That is really, really good. Oh, well,
I mean, don't look at that part. Look over there. No,
What's
don't look at
over
that part.
here?
Maybe. That is where I actually removed a little because I overgooed.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen, you're doing pretty good.
It's not bad. It's not bad, right? So obviously we need to torque these down to spec, so I'm just going down finger tight right now, and then we'll do the usual crisscross pattern down to the OE torque spec, and we'll call it good. But this was relatively painless, other than that one stud, which caused Pete to have a minor aneurysm. But we're gonna have this motor in there, Pete. I think by the end of the day, this motor's going in there. that is some beautiful stuff from Panic Made. These are their new 52 mil throttle bodies, which is a big jump up from those old A111 blacktop ITBs that I had on my old motor setup. Those are like 47 mil at the opening, but taper down to 45 mil. So this is a, like I said, a big step up. And Matt and the guys from Panic Made have done a lot of dyno testing. They verified that these do make real power on this motor. So we made like low 180s before with these on here. I don't know, we might even scare the 200 wheel horsepower club. We'll find out in the future. But if you're wondering why we swapped the fuel rail, that's because Pete took the old one off the old motor and vapor honed it, as well as vapor honing the water neck, upper and lower water necks over here. So they have a nice, like less polish finish, more of like an OE finish on them, which I think is a nice touch. You also saw that we put the vacuum distribution block down here. This is a Vibrant block. And with ITBs, you need a vacuum source to each throttle. So that's why you need this kind of a setup. It does take a little bit of fiddling to get it all set up, but you can see we used Vibrant's nice like push lock hose setup. The big hose goes to the booster, and of course that's a map sensor as well. So what else can we say here, PT? Am I missing anything important? Obviously we swapped over the engine mounts. We swapped everything over really to hang it in the engine bay. And we are now out of time. How is this possible? It's almost 6 o'clock. My wife's already called me once and saying, when are you coming home? So I thought we'd have the flywheel and the clutch and the transmission on here, and this thing like hanging on the hoist, just like tantalizingly waiting to go in the hole, but we're close, we're close. It wasn't a terrible day. We had a minor slowdown here or there, but all in all, we made decent progress on day one, and we're only gonna get better at this, people. We're gonna speed up. Day 15, I feel like we're gonna be just like ready to go to the Quail or some kind of a concourse elegance. So give us a bit of time, and of course, stay tuned for lots more Connie, as well as some fun stuff on Pete's 930 as well. I'm really excited that we brought these two old like heritage projects back to life. These are really, I think, passion projects for both of us. Connie's been on the shelf for a long time, and it just feels good to be working on this stuff again and using words like Beamsy and Connie. So thanks for watching, everyone, and thank you again, AG1, for sponsoring this video. We will see you in the next one.